Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with the miserable liberal and Ron Placone.
I am miserable.
Howdy, howdy.
Hey, thanks everybody who made it out on Friday to our live show. It was fantastic. Of course, it was sold out a few weeks ahead of time, and it was a great time. Oh, wow, what a fun time. Everybody was funny. Sam Tripoli was hilarious.
Yeah.
Steve-O was there. Laura Keitlinger, Graham Elwood, the political vigilante, of course, was fantastic. And did I skip anybody? I got everybody, right, Steph? And yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk about this. Our next live date, by the way, is the 24th of February. It's a stand-up show. It's this Saturday.
Yep, coming up.
This Saturday. Are there still tickets available?
I think there's still a few hanging out, so get them quick. It's
few
going to sell out
tickets
soon.
in San Diego, not San Francisco. So we want to talk about this. First, I'm going to break it down what happened with the Mueller. And he gave indictments, and it makes it look like, oh, my God, there's 12, 13 indictments. There must have Russia really meddled with our election. That really was true. There was no way Hillary lost to Donald Trump. It was the Russians. That's what people literally believe now, right? So here it is. Special Counsel Mueller, Russians conducted information warfare against the United States during election to help Donald Trump win. The indictment says that a Russian organization called the Internet Research Agency, that's the name, sought to wage information warfare against the United States and to sow discord. It sounds like they were like really at any moment could take over our country, right? Doesn't it? They're got information warfare. They almost took us over. In reality, they hired a dozen Twitter bots. This is literally what this is all about, which is why this is hilarious. Which is why I have to read it to you and then show you how the mainstream people are free. Like, Hitler did not have that hard of a time. People go along with fucking hysteria like that. And people I used to respect, I'm going to show you in a second. Ari Melber's out of his fucking mind. They're all out of their mind. Chris Hayes let someone complete. Anyway, we're going to show you in a second.
Jimmy, I'm freaking out just hearing the term information warfare.
Information warfare against the United States to sow discord in the American political system by using fictitious American personas and social media platforms and other internet-based media. So just like we said before, they had literally like a dozen media Twitter trolls. We talked about they spent how much money on Facebook ads, half of them appearing after the election. So the Internet Research Agency is so-called a troll farm. So it was a troll farm based in St. Petersburg, Russia. Was allegedly, by the way, no connection to the Russian government. Mm-hmm. It was allegedly controlled by a defendant in the indictment named Yevgeny Prigozhin, who is a wealthy associate of Russian President Vladimir Putin. That's like saying Bill Gates is a wealthy associate of President Donald Trump because they were at a charity event together.
Well, this proves once and for all that in other countries, rich people also hang out.
Yes! I guess that's what that proves, right? So you could also say, Bruce Springsteen, who is a wealthy associate of the Obama administration.
Yeah.
Bono, who is a wealthy associate of the George W. Bush Association.
Yep, they're buddies.
They're buddies. That you could they just say everybody who's rich knows everybody else who's rich. The indictment details an extremely sophisticated. This is how CNBC's reporting it. I'm going to juxtapose a couple different reportings with you so you get a taste, and then you'll see how we're reporting it, which you already know. This is a freaking joke. The indictment details an extremely sophisticated conspiracy in which defendants traveled to the United States to conduct research, employed specialists to fine-tune social media posts to ensure they appeared authentic, and stole real people's identities to purchase online ads.
So next time I'm posting videos for this channel and you ask me what I'm doing, I'm going to say, excuse me, it's extremely sophisticated. I'm tweeting on a podcast. This is some sophisticated stuff.
That's exactly right, Ron. By early to mid 2016, the defendants were supporting the presidential campaign of then candidate Donald Trump and disparaging Hillary Clinton, the 8-count indictment charges. So they were doing pretty much, I don't know, what the RNC was doing, what the Fox News was doing, what RedState.com was doing, what Breitbart was doing, what a lot of people were doing in the United States. What the Koch brothers were doing. How about that?
Yes, they're making it seem like it's a revolutionary act to post a point of view on the internet.
Yes.
When in fact, that's been around a while.
Yeah. The defendants also engaged in operations to denigrate Republican primary opponents of Trump, such as Senators Ted Cruz of Texas and Florida's Marco Rubio, the indictment said. You know who else engaged in operations to denigrate Republicans' primary? Everybody that was in bed with the Clintons, who's in the media. Remember the Pied Piper strategy? The Pied Piper strategy was to elevate Donald Trump. Turns out, I think it was Ted Cruz, too. They thought he was repulsive. So, and denigrate. So, I mean, again, this is just nothing. This is not. They were told to make Twitter posts that denigrated. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. This is literally what this is. Some defendants, posing as U.S. persons and without revealing their Russian association, communicated with unwitting individuals associated with the Trump campaign and with other political activists to seek to coordinate political activities, the indictment claims. Anybody can send an email to anybody. Anybody can send an email to the Trump campaign. Anybody can. This is just unbelievable.
I was thinking like with some of the wordage in this article and stuff. It's like the author of this and all the people spreading this. It's like they just found out what the internet is for the first time too. Like it was extremely sophisticated. So they timed out some of those tweets. There was a picture with one of the Facebook posts. A picture. It wasn't flattering.
Well, doesn't this really just come down to like the people in power feel complete lack of control because people can get their message out by using these social platforms that before you could kind of have a plan, a game plan, but now Ron can do something, you can do something, Arno, I can do something.
This is going to be used against the left. This is always used against the left. This is going to be anything that goes against the establishment is going to be seen as communist, Russian. Some defendants, as part of their efforts, the defendants also allegedly encouraged minority groups to either not vote in the election or to vote for a third-party candidate.
How nefarious. That sounds out of control.
Wow.
You mean you have more of a choice than just two candidates?
Again, these are just people posting on Twitter and Facebook. That's all they were doing. Buying ads. It's nothing. Donald Trump was given over $2 billion in free fucking... This is unbelievable. This is all it takes to take down a democracy. Both actions would have hurt Clinton, who received significant support from minority voters. You know who else did? Trump. Trump got 30% of the Hispanic vote. Did you know that? Right?
Yep.
You know why more minorities didn't vote for Hillary Clinton? Because she locked them up and called them super predators and shipped their jobs to Mexico with NAFTA. And at the same time she was trying to get their vote, Barack Obama was trying to ship more jobs out of the country with the TPP. After the election of Trump as president in November 2016, the defendants used fake personas. Get this. They used fake personas to organize and coordinate political rallies in support of Trump, while also doing the same to create rallies protesting the results of the election. So they were doing both things. These according to this FBI, which I don't trust the FBI one bit. They're saying, they were organizing pro-Trump rallies and anti-Trump rallies. And what was the effect of that? On one day, November 12, 2016, the defendants organized a rally in New York to, quote, show your support for President-elect Donald Trump, while at the same time organizing a Trump is not my president rally that also was held in New York. So this kind of... What
Do
is
you remember those rallies?
I remember those. Those were huge.
Those were, it was all over.
Huge.
People in New York City have political opinions breaking.
You know who else was doing Trump is not my president? I don't know, half the goddamn country at that time.
Exactly.
Everybody in the Democratic Party, the Women's March. What are you kidding me? And you know who was also organizing rallies to show support for Donald Trump? I don't know, everybody in the Republican Party on the right. Donald Trump himself.
But
What
how
the
much
F?
were they influenced by these
Right?
Russian bots, Jimmy? Really?
What does this have to do?
We've never had reactions to presidential elections before until the Russians told us we were supposed to.
I don't know what this is, but all I know is this didn't have any effect on anything. This is some Russian oligarch billionaire who's got a couple extra $1 million to throw around. And he goes, yeah, let's hire some Twitter bots too to go tweet stuff because it'll somehow help him business-wise when the United States is in chaos. So who knows what he wants to do? Who knows what that's about? Maybe he wants to get some kind of, who knows? But he goes, all right, well, yeah, let's, and he hires some people to help him. I'm sure he has media consultants, and they take some of his budget, and they go hire 12 bots and see what happens. Right?
It's probably just about
It's like correct the
influence.
record.
Like, let's see. Well, yeah, correct the record's the same thing.
Yeah,
Like, it's
correct the
same,
record.
yeah.
Like David Brock, who worked in conjunction with the Hillary Clinton campaign, which, by the way, was a violation of election law. There's your fucking law breaking right there. Nobody looks into it. And he had, I'm going to guess, hundreds, if not thousands, of Twitter bots doing essentially the same thing, trying to manipulate people's opinions. It's called correct the record. So that's what they're trying to say through the election was 12 bots from Russia. This is what, well, they're not trying to say that actually. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein said the defendants created hundreds of accounts using fake personas on the social media platform Facebook. Hundreds of accounts on Facebook where there's only billions of people. How many? I don't know. Are there a billion people on Facebook so far?
Listen, I just want to know how many of those fake Twitter accounts have a blue check.
Right?
Because Ron and I are still waiting.
That's
aren't
the
we?
whole
right?
point of
I don't
blue
have blue
checks. That's the whole point of blue checks. You guys don't have your blue
You can't
checks?
apply anymore. They suspended
They've
the
deci-
application process.
Oh, really?
They're
Yeah.
afraid of us having too much influence in this political
I
arena.
got my blue check. So here's an example. One example of that was the Twitter account Tennessee GOP. Did I read that whole thing? Yeah. One example was the Twitter account Tennessee GOP, which used the handle @10_GOP and which falsely claimed to be controlled by a U.S. state political party, the indictment said. Over time, the 10_GOP account attracted more than 100,000 online followers.
You have more than that, so
I have more than that.
You know, next election's on you.
It is. So here's what. Now here, of course, they bury the lead, right? So here's the lead. Rosenstein said there is no allegation in the indictment that any American was a knowing participant in the scheme. And here's the most important part, buried deep in the article. Nor is there any allegation that the scheme affected the outcome of the election. So this is nothing. Again, this is the FBI trying to justify a fucking investigation. Oh, we got a troll farm in Russia. What were they doing? Tweeting. Do you know how that affects the election? Has it affected more or less than an hour of an empty podium of Trump's on Chris Hayes' show? More or less. Your 12 Twitter bots. Is it more than I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people Chris Hayes' show reaches it every night? That's the key. That was buried. That should be the headline. These indictments mean nothing. They mean nothing. Literally, they mean almost less than nothing. If it's possible to mean less than nothing in this election, that's what this means.
Can I just tell you that I tracked down, the Tennessee GOP, right? And it says, Tennessee GOP, I love God, I love my country.
Ha! Oh my God, that's undermining our democracy. Is it? I don't know. Is that a Russian bot or is that Mike Huckabee?
I was going to say, that sounds like something the Tennessee GOP would totally
That sounds like
say.
something right.
That sounds like that would plausibly be their handle.
All the defendants are charged with conspiracy to defraud the United States. 3 defendants are charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and bank fraud, and 5 defendants are charged with aggravated identity theft. None of the defendants are in custody. So these are legitimate charges. So what they did was they assumed fake identities, and then so they could buy advertising and stuff, and they presented themselves to be different, American citizens, so they could do things. And that's illegal because you can't be a foreign person agent and try to influence the election of the United States. You're not supposed to be able to do that. So that's what, and then they, committed wire fraud and bank fraud. So those are legitimate crimes to pursue. They have nothing to do. Again, the goddamn FBI admitted didn't have any effect on the election. So this is nothing. This is nothing. But so now it's like, we got them. So the indictment came 4 days after an American named Richard Pinedo pleaded guilty to using identity stolen from U.S. citizens to bypass the security systems of online payment companies. Pinedo also bought and sold bank account numbers over the internet using stolen identities. So they got that guy, and they tie him somehow to all this, that he was helping. And here's the last part that I'm going to show you, the CNBC article. Defendants and their co-conspirators also used, without lawful authority, the social security numbers, home addresses, and birth dates of real U.S. persons to open accounts at PayPal, a digital payment company. The indictment against the... So that's illegal. So they got him on that. That is a far cry from Trump as a Manchurian candidate and committed treason.
Mm-hmm.
That is unbelievable. But it's being reported. Well, so Trump tweeted this out. He says, Russia started their anti-U.S. campaign in 2014, long before I announced that I would run for president. The results of the election were not impacted, and the Trump campaign did nothing wrong, no collusion. So what the FBI is doing is making Trump right. And by keep pretending that this is a real now maybe there is a real indictment coming somewhere that has something to do with something, but this doesn't have anything to do with anything. This is the establishment is now going to take this and use it to squelch the left. They're already doing it, right? So Google is already throttling places like Alternate and Common Dreams. We've told you this. And they're already throttling shows like us, shows like Kyle Kalinski's Secular Talk, anybody who's doing independent news. So if you go on YouTube right now and you'll see a news clip from CNN and it's got 2 million views, it's because Google and YouTube are pushing that on people. They have an algorithm that when autoplay comes up, their videos play. Who? Mainstream news videos, not independent news. They're throttling us. They're not notifying our people. So they're using, it's all this. We have to protect everybody from fake Russia news. That's why they're doing. That's the whole thing. We have to protect everybody because you guys don't know who's a Russia bot and who's not, and we're going to protect you. So that's why we're pushing mainstream news like CNN, even though CNN and ABC News and MSN, they've had to fire people repeatedly over the Russia story. Repeatedly. They're the ones launching fake news. And as Glenn Greenwald has pointed out, the thing that's troubling is that they get the story wrong every time the same way. They don't get it wrong like, oh, it turns out Trump's, it turns out we has exculpatory evidence. That never happens. It's always, we got him. It's always that way. And so now they're going to use this to come after the left. What do you mean, Jimmy? How would they? Well, here's Ari Melber. Bernie Sanders' response to Mueller indictment does not address that this Russian operation tried to help his campaign per indictment. Just as I reported, Ari Trump, that is a remarkable omission. That is McCarthyism. What Ari Melber just did, I'm pretty sure he's Jewish. What Ari Melber just did, that's called McCarthyism. That's fucking... I don't know. I can't believe your heads are still connected to your bodies because when I saw that, I had to call a doctor and have him sew my head back on. Like that doesn't blow your... He's literally red baiting Bernie fucking Sanders. Did I not tell you this was exactly what's going to happen? And that's why I've been so upset with people who push the Russiagate narrative. That's why I've been pushing back against it so hard. That's why Kyle Kalinske debated Cenk Uygur over an hour. And that's what I've been warning. Hey, you guys who are pushing this Russiagate, there's a term called useful idiots because you're unwittingly helping your own demise. That's if you're on the left and you're uncritically pushing the Russiagate and you don't push back against this stuff, you're showing your own your own downfall. That's stunning. That's what that is, right? I'm not Ron. That's McCarthyism against Bernie Sanders.
Well,
hey, Bernie. Oh my God, I think you're in bed with the Russians.
Yeah.
Just like Trump. Bernie's in bed with the Russians just like Trump. What a fucking smear merchant bullshit that shit is. I used to think Ari Melber was a straight shooter. I used to think he was just a guy trying to do a good job. And that's just fucking he's just horrible. That's just horrible. That's just horrible. I don't want to be in their club so hard you have no idea. These fucking pieces of it. That's unbelievable. That's like something like if your kid did that, you'd fucking ground him for 10 years. That's unbelievable. And people fucking wag their finger at anyone else pushing a conspiracy theory? You think you got any space to fucking criticize fucking Alex Jones now after your fucking red smearing? Burning exactly like we said it would happen. Did we not say this would happen?
Yeah. Well, and that's why, I mean, the reason my head's still attached is because I did see that tweet this morning. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Whenever there's been a big reveal, it ends up being a misleading headline. And then pretty much nothing. Or something that's not even really directly related.
So they literally 12 fucking Twitter trolls.
Yeah.
Unrelated to the government. They don't have a connection to the Russian government. That's it. 12 Twitter trolls. And now R.B. Melber says, I bet you Bernie Sanders is in bed with the Reds.
Mm-hmm. And this is all, and when you really actually take the time to dissect what's actually being presented to us, like you find out, it's just another attempt to keep giving CPR to this whole Russiagate narrative because people are tired of it. People are starting to see through it, but it's like, oh wait, no, we got this reveal. It's not really a reveal, but you got to read to the 4th paragraph to find that out.
Russia election interference started early in 2016, supporting Trump and Bernie Sanders. There he is. There's Ari doing it. Just like we predicted. What a fucking meathead that guy is. Can't trust him at all. And I know, wow, unfucking believable, Ari. If you have you no dignity, sir? No. That's another guy trying to get 30 grand a day. That's all that is. That's another guy trying to get 30 grand a day who's lost his fucking mind on purpose. That's unbelievable. Honest to God, if I was his fucking parents, I would really feel bad about myself. Like, how did I raise my kid to do this shit? Like, that's how I would feel. If I was his parents, I'd be like, oh my God, what did we do wrong? Sad to see a former Nation writer participate in a cynical psyop aimed by the party establishment at dismantling the Sanders movement, which is what that is. So now if you're for Bernie Sanders in 2020, you're a fucking red. You're red now. Did I not goddamn tell you this was going to happen? Yes, I did. And how people who listen to lefty shows who push Russiagate even after and how do you watch MSNBC? How does anyone who considers themselves on the left watch MSNBC after what they're fucking doing to Bernie right now? Which means they're doing that to the progressive movement.
And what they're doing to Jill Stein. I mean, we're going to do a video on that later. But yeah, I mean, it's been very... And that's why, we've posed the question, when are we going to have our do you have no dignity, sir moment? And you know what I think at this point? It's up to shows like this to make that moment happen. The establishment ain't going to do it. It's up to shows like this. It's up to...
That's why it's so important when Kyle Kalinske and I trying so hard to sway the Young Turks because they have such a huge platform and people really listen to Cenk.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle and I push back on it. We just get dismissed.
So every time we have
we even get dismissed at the Young Turks. We get dismissed. So I hope you're right. I'm doing everything I can. This is unbelievable, and that's disgusting. But I mean, it's crazy what he's doing right here. That's not okay. I can't fucking say it loud enough. That's not okay. What Ari Melber, but what they've been doing at MSNBC has been disgusting, and that's why people came to the Young Turks, because they saw how they were covering Bernie Sanders to begin with in the primary. That's why the Young Turks exploded. And then after the primary, the Young Turks went full bore for Hillary Clinton, and that's when this show exploded. Because people want the truth about progressives. How do you consider yourself on the left and you watch this fucking network, MSNBC? How could that possibly be? I'm sorry, Steph, I cut you off.
No, not at all. I was just, my position is this, like, what is the end game? This is nefarious.
This is the end game. The end game is to dismantle the progressive left. That's one of the end games, for sure.
Yeah, it's a power grab and a ratings grab, because there's literally no other incentive.
And the reason why I see this as so nefarious is people are now like really tuned off to the Russian thing. Like, that's not important to our life every day. And we're not being informed about what's really happening and where we are as a military force throughout the world.
Right.
It's like,
we're not talking about anything, Steph. We're not examining anything. This, again, the FBI does the bidding of the establishment. They come out and distract everybody. They make it sound like it's a big story. There's nothing to this story at all. Nothing to this story. But it reinforces this narrative that people are tired of, just like you said, that Russia hacked our election and that's otherwise Hillary would be president.
And in the meantime, there's nothing going to happen to how we cast our ballots.
Nothing. They're not going to have increased election integrity whatsoever, Steph. And we're not talking about the system that gave us Trump. We're not talking about the system that made people so miserable half the country doesn't vote. We're not talking about the system that lets a person who gets millions of fewer votes become the fucking winner. That's like shit that would happen in some kind of banana republic. It happens here 40% of the time this century alone. The loser became the fucking winner. That's crazy. So that's what we're not examining when we're doing the... Oh, by the way, let me finish reading Max Blumenthal's tweet. He said, it's sad to see a former Nation writer participate in a cynical psyop aimed by the party establishment at dismantling the Sanders movement. Another case of cognitive capture. A term ironically coined by MSNBC's Chris Hayes to explain opportunistic assimilation to corporate culture. Wow, that is ironic that Chris fucking Hayes coined that phrase. Corporate capture to explain opportunistic assimilation to corporate culture. That describes Chris Hayes and Rachel Maddow to a fucking T.
Yeah.
And now Ari Melber. I so don't want to be in your shitty fucking douchebag club, you guys. I so don't want to be in your club. I know that, there's some people, that's a failing of a lot of people who with media shows on the left. They so want to be in bed with these guys. That I so don't want to be in your shitty club. God damn it. Not a fucking shred of dignity on this guy today, Ari Melber. Not a fucking shred of dignity. And I'd like to see if there's ever a progressive that gets allowed on that channel again. I know they don't allow them on there anymore. Josh Fox doesn't get to go on, and Thomas Frank doesn't get to go on. And if you're a progressive, you get to go on. You should definitely fucking say something. I know I would if I ever got anywhere near a microphone on MSNBC. That's what a progressive would do. Oh, by the way, here it is coming against Jill Stein. Joy Reid tweets out, Malcolm Nance says Hillary Clinton could have won if Jill Stein was not being pushed by Russia. There it is. So now Jill Stein's Russian. Bernie Sanders is Russian. Guess who else is Russian? Fucking Jeremy Corbyn now. Jeremy Corbyn.
Are you kidding me?
No. Jeremy Corbyn knew I was a spy and was a Cold War source, says Czech diplomat. Meanwhile, in the UK, the new Red Scare hits Jeremy Corbyn. That's from the Telegraph. It's happening. They did it that quick, Ron. They did it that quick. We've been saying it. That's why we've been saying it to lefty news shows. Stop fucking doing this. You are sowing your own demise.
Well,
you're going to be hoisted on your own petard. as the saying goes.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we're seeing history repeat itself on multiple levels and in multiple kind of micro and macro levels. I mean, in the first Red Scare, there were a lot of artists and activists and peaceniks that were targeted. Same thing's happening now. That's why when somebody actually called me a communist meant as an insult, I was flattered. Because I was like, if I'm going to go through a Red Scare, I'll be really bummed out if I'm not, if I'm not one of the people smeared. I'll feel like, well, all my heroes were smeared and won before. But also,
you ain't been doing nothing if you ain't been called a red.
That's right. So, but also, even going more recent, how did everybody just let the Patriot Act happen?
Right.
Well, everyone was so freaked out by 9/11. Years from now, they're going to be like, how did everybody let the FBI start monitoring social media?
Right.
And how did everybody let Silicon Valley determine what is and isn't free speech? What the hell were you guys thinking? Well, everybody was freaked out about this Russia hysteria.
So, John Podesta was on Face the Nation, and he was asked a pretty good question about, wow, these Russian bots seemed like they were smarter than the Hillary Clinton campaign because, watch this.
It had some impact.
But it does beg the question, how is it that these Russian operatives knew to focus on purple states like Michigan and Wisconsin, and your campaign didn't?
Oh, man.
And that's the last time she's on Face the Nation asking a hard question like that. So wouldn't you automatically believe that she's a Russian bot?
Oh, yeah, she's got to be a Russian bot.
I'm already enjoying this roast.
Can you play it again?
It had some impact.
But it does beg the question, how is it that these Russian operatives knew to focus on purple states like Michigan and Wisconsin, and your campaign didn't?
Well, of course we...
Wow.
Okay, so we got to push back against the bastards. If you support this show, please make sure you're subscribed. That's the first thing you have to do because they're unsubscribing people left and right. Please make sure you're subscribed. Please make sure you're subscribed and then click that bell to make sure you get a notice when we drop a video. Come to our live show February 24th in San Diego at the Comedy Palace, or maybe you could become a patron or a premium member through PayPal. We give you a couple hours of extra bonus material every week. Thanks for your support.